host of the Gridiron.
Yeah, I did see that. I mean, this. So Cam Ward apparently is quarterback number one. Okay, that's cool. Apparently, Shedeur Sanders is quarterback number two. But who is quarterback number three? What you were kind of talking about here, Benny? Who's quarterback number three? And I can tell you one, as just stuff I'm reading here from people posting and everything like that. I can tell you one thing for sure. Okay, the quarterback number three, without question, is not this dude right here. He was at the Senior Bowl, not having a good time. I mean, he hadn't done a whole heck of a lot to really improve his stock, shall we say, right? So somebody's got to move up the ladder, and Dart has done a fantastic job of moving up. Got here, New York Giants quarterback option appears to be gaining steam. Since November, or perhaps even earlier than that, the Giants quarterback hype has surrounded two draft prospects, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. All of a sudden, however, a new name appears to be gaining steam around the New York Giant community in late January, and Giants legend Eli Manning might have something to do with this recent turn of events. It's kind of like what McCarthy did last year. McCarthy just all of a sudden, he was just shooting up draft boards, right? Eli said, "I like Jaxson Dart," Manning said last week via the New York Post on January 23rd. Acknowledging that his fandom is in part due to their Ole Miss connection. I've also probably watched more Jaxson Dart than anybody else, just because he watches Ole Miss games. Manning went on, "I've been around him, and he's been a great kid. Been in the same offense for 3 years and has been successful. Seen him grow and progress, and seems to be able to make all the throws." At first, after hearing Manning's comments, it felt like most Big Blue fans saw Dart as more of a backup plan in round 2, if he makes it that far. Since then, Dart's Senior Bowl practices have really revved up the hype train. On January 29th, New York Post reporter Paul Schwartz published an entire feature on Dart titled "How Jaxson Dart Could Fit in the Giants' Draft Plan with a Smooth Transition." Then New York Post colleague and beat reporter Ryan Dunleavy weighed in later, admitting, "This option is growing on me." Dart has also, where are we at here? There you go. He's also been vocal about his personal relationship with the Manning family, stating that they are one of the first families to reach out to me, and it's been special how our bond and connection has been able to grow throughout my time there. Dart is especially close with Eli's father, Archie Manning, who called the entire family a huge asset throughout his career. Now, he was also saying that, like, Archie would, text him, before a game, just saying good luck or something like that. But let's not forget, Eli Manning's father, Archie Manning, also went to Ole Miss. Potential Giants quarterback target Jaxson Dart labeled unquestioned quarterback number one at the Senior Bowl. Okay, considering most of the Dart hype stems from the Post or the Mannings, how about an outside opinion? A to Z Sports college football managing editor Travis May discussed Dart in great detail on January 30th, labeled him the unquestioned quarterback number one at this year's Senior Bowl. Keep in mind, Ward and Sanders are not participating in the 2025 Senior Bowl, but other potential Giants quarterback targets are, like Jalen Milroe, Dylan Gabriel, and Will Howard from Ohio State, among others, according to May. Dart has outshined them all. The quarterback play here in Mobile, Alabama this week has largely been unimpressive, May relayed. But Dart is the lone exception. From dropping the ball into a bucket in one-on-one sessions to driving the ball through tight traffic in 11-on-11, Dart has looked sharp, he explained. So much so that he's impressed draft experts like Louis Riddick of ESPN. May then quoted Riddick, who described Dart as smart enough and talented enough to do all the things that they ask him to do at the NFL level, while speaking with the Paul Finnenbaum show. Not sure who that is. Jaxson Dart is just simply the obvious quarterback number one at the Senior Bowl, May continued later. Jalen Milroe has struggled with accuracy. Notre Dame's Riley Leonard has somehow learned or leaned into scrambling in a practice setting instead of making many difficult throws. Dylan Gabriel has clicked on everything underneath, but not many deeper shots. Dart is just head and shoulders above the field. When would the Giants select Dart? Interesting. If they were to pursue him in the draft. Hype in the opinion of the Mannings is one thing, while General Manager Joe Schoen and head coach Brian Daboll actually trusting Dart enough to draft him is another. This isn't Schoen and Daboll's first or second year at the helm. 2025 is likely their last chance to prove that they deserve to keep these jobs long term, and a quarterback decision will be imperative in turning things around. So, if they like Dart as much as Eli does, when should they draft him? Mm-hmm. The general consensus is that number 3 overall is way too high for Dart, which leaves the Giants with 3 options. 1, they can hope that he's there at number 34 overall, or pick 2 of the second round, or number 34, which would be pick 2 of the second round. I don't know if he's going to make it that far. But number 2, Schoen could trade down from number 3, gaining as much draft capital as possible, and then select Dart later in round 1. This would obviously depend on how far back the Giants decide to drop. But you just can't say, well, we'll just trade back. And, it takes 2 to tango. You got teams that got to want to try to trade up to number 3. For who? Who knows? But then it takes 2 to tango. Then team wants to trade up to number 3. Well, that's cool. But what are they giving you in return? If it ain't worth you falling back to number 15 or 16 or 17 or something like that, if it's not worth it, you're not going to do it. So it's not always that easy. Just trade back. It's not that easy. And finally, the most popular option, and the one that Schwartz outlined in his article, draft the best non-quarterback available at number 3 overall, then do whatever it takes to trade back into round 1 from number 34. This plan would secure Dart with a late first rounder, which also means the Giants will have their next potential franchise quarterback under team control for 5 seasons, which would be huge, right? Assuming they elect to pick up his 5th-year option. Dart will be an interesting name to monitor as the draft process continues. Absolutely. And I got another one there. Has Jaxson Dart worked his way up to quarterback? Well, meaning quarterback, maybe number 2. Thoughts on Sanders? Oh, number 3. I drafted Hunter at number 3 and move back, then move up and grab Dart at the end of the first. Yeah, so the one nice thing. Oh, we got at number 3. Well, see, the thing is, you don't know how far Dart's going to. Would Dart make it, toward the end of the first round? Would the Giants have to try to jump up to like number 20 or something to pick him up? So that's going to be pretty tough. It's going to be pretty tough. It's going to be pretty tough for like Ward to go, whatever, number 2, and Shedeur Sanders to go number 3. And then all of a sudden you got no quarterbacks for like the next almost 25 picks or so. That's going to be pretty tough. It's going to be pretty tough. Thoughts on Shedeur Sanders? Well, a lot of it's not, it's, does Schoen and Daboll, do they think he's worth, their jobs, at pick number 3? So they pick him and they pick him wrong, or they're writing their own pink slip, pretty much. Seems like Cam Ward is the obviously the consensus number 1. Now, obviously, I'm not inside Daboll's head. He knows what he likes. he wanted to get Daniels last year, but obviously the Commanders weren't trading with us. There's no way we could trade up to the Commanders and swap picks with them. They weren't going to do that. So, Dable knows what he likes. If he thinks that, that Sanders can get the job done, I'm sure we're going to pull the trigger on him. I got if they think that's what he is, I just hope they're right because, it really, man, I hate to go through this Daniel Jones thing again. If we pick Shedeur and he's not the right guy, I'm sure we're not going to have him for 6 years. But, it's like you can just see. It's just like, you get the quarterback, you get the wrong quarterback. He's just not this. Man, you just put yourself back for years. And that's enough. Oh, sorry, buddy. Oh, sorry. The dog's underneath my leg. Sorry, pal. That's another one of the things I'm going to be talking about here. Drafting the wrong quarterback or drafting a quarterback and he doesn't, But I ain't got no problem with, Sanders, but, he's, it's what do they think? What do they think? Because I said they're betting their jobs on it, right? Oh, there we go. One more. Has Jaxson Dart worked his way up to quarterback number 2? I guess quarterback number 2 would mean you got Ward number 1 and Jaxson Dart at number 2. The week of practice at the 2025 Reese's Senior Bowl is in the books. Practices are always the most important part of pre-draft all-star games, and they're the first real opportunity for prospects to impress the NFL. The practices are a chance for prospects to get NFL coaching, for the NFL coach to get around the players and see their process and how they carry themselves. They're also a venue for scouts to look at their traits outside of their college schemes. The Giants have drafted heavily out of the Senior Bowl under Joe Shane. They have a heavy presence on the Senior Bowl coaching staffs this week, and they consider the inside intel to be a competitive advantage. Yes. So which players stand out and make a name for themselves is going to be important for the Giants. Considering that the quarterback position is the single most pressing need for the Giants, we'll look at the big names there before moving on to the other positions. So this is the first thing want to talk about is Jalen Milroe. This week hasn't been kind to the former Alabama quarterback. He's had some very visible struggles in practice with poor throws as well as poor decisions. However, he's also shown off his impressive arm talent and deep ball. The big question regarding Milroe is what teams are looking for from him, how he takes coaching, applies what he's been coached on, and performs in meetings may be more important to his draft stock than his play in any individual practice. And they talk about Jaxson Dart. Dart got off to a slow start this week as well, with reports of struggles as he implied lessons in his first practice. He rebounded in the second and third practice, showing off arm strength, accuracy, and placement. More importantly, Dart showed a team periods that he was able to operate from under center as well as read the defenses to find answers down the field. There were several instances in which he visibly worked through his progressions, used his mobility to buy time, and then found his check down to keep the offense moving. Dart has had an impressive week, and there are reports that he has jumped Shedeur Sanders as quarterback number 2 on some boards around the NFL. Then they talk about Dylan Gabriel. Gabriel's had a rough weigh-in, weighing he's 5'10.5". He weighs 202 pounds. Gabriel seemingly answered those questions by delivering a ball that was clocked in at 74 miles an hour practice. Nice. It's worth noting that there were similar questions regarding Justin Herbert and Bo Nix as quarterbacks in Oregon's offense. So Gabriel was the standout quarterback on day 1, which shouldn't be surprising considering how much experience he's had between UCF, Oklahoma, and Oregon. Other than his size, there were questions regarding his arm strength and ability to drive the ball into an offense. And they talk about Riley Leonard from Notre Dame. He'd be a later round pick, that's for sure. While he may not eclipse Dart or Gabriel, Leonard had a solid week of practice. He showed solid accuracy and placement down the field. He'll probably be looked as a backup at the NFL level, but he's making a case to be a draftable quarterback. So it's good for him. But, I mean, once again, it's all this stuff going, whoa, the Super Bowl nightmare. I'm not watching. All right, let's see. Draft quarterback move down. Yeah. So, I mean, Dart's moving up the board. So, very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. We still got, ways to go. I mean, because you guys, I'm sure they'll have their own pro days, right? You don't know who's going to show up at the combine. Are they going to show up at the combine and just weigh in and do nothing else? Any of the guys run? Will they throw anything? You can certainly see maybe where Dart might want to do that, maybe to keep his stock rising, right? I don't know if Shedeur is going to want to do that, or if Cam Ward is going to do that, or they just want to have their own pro day, right? With their familiar surroundings, with familiar receivers and all of that, that'll help them. So so it'll be very, very interesting to see. But Dart's shooting up the board. So now, obviously, is he top 10 material? Who knows?